Welcome to Acts 2and42. Real discussions, real opinions, real stories and testimonies. Real church talk. Welcome to Acts 2and42. All right, and we're back after close to a year, like 9 months. We're finally back. I got something real quick just to express how I feel. See, I figured this be up your alley. Get it? What's going on? What's going on? All right, guys. How y'all feel?
Excited to be back.
Excited to be back. Okay, I cut your mic. Sorry about that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, you're good to go.
All right. I'm excited to be back. Excited to be here. Yeah. I'm nervous. I'm warming up, guys. I'm warming up. Let me get back in the game. It's been a minute. So.
T-Sock, what you got for me?
I'm here for it.
This guy. Guys, let me know if you hear anything messed up in the stream. My fault, T.
Yeah, I'm here. Glad to be off the road. Glad to be home. Got my son with me today. Me and Maine. So all things is good on my end, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've been going for a while. I feel like my mic is high. Turn it down a little bit. We've been going for a while, but feel like we got some good things coming.
Yeah.
We've had both, trials and the good and the bad. We've had good stuff and bad stuff going on, but things keeping us busy, both good and bad. But like you say, T, off the road, back home, allows you to not only be see your son more often, but I think some more regular schedule for us to do things like this. But same with us, man. So we've been collectively working on some things the last couple months. So starting to maybe tap in or reap some of the benefits of it, or just feeling better. You're just feeling like being on a better page and, progress and moving forward in a good place. And so excited to be back here. Got some good things planned. Got hopefully, if we have time, we were trying to line up a little surprise guest for you guys, just to pop in and say what's up. But not sure if that's going to happen or not. So we'll see. But so anyway, just want to hang out. Don't have a serious topic. Jay Davis says, welcome. What happened? Oh, I thought you said something, right? Any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments and we'll respond. But other than that, guys, like, what are you looking forward to as far as getting these rolling again? Anything personal or?
I don't know. I think for me, like dealing with the topics that we're going to be covering and stuff, I'm hoping we wake some people up. Honestly, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to wake people up.
How so?
Just say, with the knowledge, with the truth. You already know how I be.
Any examples?
I would like us to touch on some end time topics and situation. I don't know, end time stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Things that's coming up, things we know legally that's coming up. War against the Christians. Yeah, things like that. Signs of the end. Are we in there? Are we not? How many more years do we have left? I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm interested in that. Yeah.
We had some requests, to touch back in on end time stuff. So, and I think, we'll kind of get into that towards the end. I feel like before we do, I think there's like a sequential conversation that we could have or start to deal with, which is really, what's been labeled, what's termed the unseen realm, properly understanding the different views. Lee, what's up, man? Lee's in the comments. What's up, Lee? Lee asked, he asked about end time stuff. And, Lee, I was just saying, a couple people had asked for that. And before we do, we want to deal with, probably lead into that with the unseen realm, to have a firm grasp on, all things seen and unseen, thrones, dominions, principalities, powers, all these things. And from a historical view, like where they came from, what led us to now, the complete gospel of what Jesus came and did, which also leads into end time stuff. So I think if you jump it straight into end times without having, I guess, a more complete grasp of the role that different beings have played throughout history, you might be missing a few pieces, maybe not big, but I think it just helps put the puzzle's pieces together. So it just made sense to kind of, maybe just have some conversations, share some things with Unseen Realm, talk about that a little bit. And then that would be a segue into end times and other conversations. And end times itself has to be broken up, right? Like into different pieces. So anyway, what's up with you, T-Sock? What you got for him? What you ready to do?
Man, I don't know.
Said I'm here for it.
Yeah. I'm at a weird place right now. I got a lot going on. A lot good. A whole lot good. But more so than, the physical things and more carnal, natural things I got going on. I'm in a good place spiritually. Like a really good place. I've shared with y'all a couple of things that have happened recently. I'm just looking to not only share some of that on the cast, but to inspire others and to take the walk a little more seriously, through some of the things we discuss, whether it be the things that are coming, or just, your daily communications with other people.
Got some spamming going on in the comments. A little distracting. Girls 69.xyz. Spicy.
Spicy.
What in the world? So, yeah. So let's I want to share for a little bit as it pertains to end times, right? I don't know if it's nerves, having not done this for so long, but all of a sudden I got like choked up, like right at that spot in your throat that counts, right? So I keep clearing my throat. I apologize. Hold on a sec. Let me give it one good. Mute my mic.
You could have muted it for everybody, cuz.
Yeah.
Too many controls. They got blasted in the Zoom. So, excuse me. Sheesh.
Homie struggling.
Woo. So, to those that either know us or have followed the channel and stuff, the content we've put out. We've talked about the end times, the millennial reign, and man, we spent some time. We spent some heavy time recently. We've got a 6-foot whiteboard at our house, and when we get studying stuff, of course we're at the whiteboard, and I'm up there like a madman, like a conspiracy theorist, like trying to connect dots, and so we're going through some of the key scriptures, for end times, right? And it was, I don't know, hour 4, hour 5, that it was like a couple things clicked. That was like, okay, wait a minute, and we started putting heads together. Heads together on that, and we all kind of agreed we needed to get a cup of coffee. I feel like my mic is clipping. Do you guys hear that? Does it sound really loud?
A little bit.
All right. I don't know. How about now? Better?
That's fine.
I don't want to be distorted in somebody's ear. I hate that.
Your voice in my ear is trouble enough for me.
Yeah. Hold on, let me turn it up a little bit. So, but we all agreed it was time for more coffee, right? It was time for more coffee, and it was time to pray. Stop and pray before revisiting these things and looking through them. And then the more we went through it, we're like, wait a minute, we got to take a step back. And long story short, it's without getting too much in the details, it made us rethink our position on the series of events that we currently held, and where we placed the millennial reign, the 1,000-year period and everything, and our view of that, at least to the point of sitting us back on our heels saying, wait a minute, we have to consider some of these different views, and there's good reason to do that. So it's put us back on our heels, it really has. So anything we talk about, anything we share coming up is going to be, group conversation, not necessarily, trying to teach, or not necessarily trying to, expound to you all, to someone listening, but sharing.
Considerations, not lectures.
Say that again?
Considerations, not lectures.
What is that? What kind of $8 word is that? Who?
This guy. Yeah.
Definitely not lectures though. But just kind of walking through it, kind of like how we do at home. And that's even with this, you see, we don't have a formal topic tonight, and it was really just because it's the first one back. Let's just get out there. Sorry we're late, but I had to redo like all kinds of stuff because I had reinstalled the system, didn't realize that, went to go live, and like none of the live stream stuff was there, so I had to build it from scratch, as we were trying to go live. But also wanting to change the format, right? Like subtly, not big time, but subtly. So it's, we just want to hang out, share these ideas, talk about different things, and maybe move on, not dig a huge pit conversationally in one topic or one arena. But also, like I said, we want someone to pop in tonight, if someone else wants to join in, let me know, and we'll try to add you to the group. Even if it's for like 5 or 10 minutes, just to say what's up, ask a question, share something, share your opinion on something. We don't mind doing that. What we really just want to do is kind of, I guess, connect in the way that we've done it when 3 or 4 of us would get together, at the whiteboard or whatever, and just going through stuff, and hopefully having some fun, in the process, because I'm trying to laugh. If you guys don't know me, I'm trying to laugh, and that's why I got dad jokes and
oh my God,
corny, but hey, I'm just trying to have fun. Lee says, I know the Bible says no one will know the time, but with things going on, it seems like we are close. Just my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I'm always like, anytime someone says, not necessarily, not towards you, Lee, just in general, but anytime someone says like, man, looking at the signs or whatever, looking at today, it just seems like, he's close. Matter of fact, I got a Facebook post I want to read you guys too. I'm always skeptical. Like I always like, well, yeah, we'll see. Because, for 2,000 years, everyone thought they were the generation. Everyone thought that it was in their time. And how many people have tried to predict it falsely, and it just seems like, yeah, I get it. I get it, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Well, since you asked,
I think it's time.
I'm not saying Jesus is going to show up in 5 to 10 years, but what I am saying is this is definitely a time where I can see a lot of prophetic events coming to pass. The gospel being preached all over, the technology we have now, the global laws that are being put in place, the persecution since, after Jesus' death to now. I don't know. It's just like without going all into all the prophecies and all that stuff, just those forefront issues leads me to think we're close.
Lee, if you're still with us, anything specific you see that you're like, man, that makes me feel nervous? Hey, Miss Newton, big family, big noise. What's going on?
Hello there.
But yeah, Lee or Miss Newton, we're talking about whether or not it's the end times right now. But yeah, we lost track of the time too. We were very late, thanks to me. But anything specific happening now that you think, man, this seems like it has something to do with end times? And T, where you at? Like in response to Sheree or Lee?
I agree with your statement, Keith, as far as having a healthy dose of skepticism. I'm a caution because for 2,000 years, people have assumed that they were the generation that was to be the last. There's testimony, whether it be from, the fall of the Second Temple to many at the various times of the Catholic Inquisitions, who thought that they were experiencing the beast. There were many occasions where the number of the name was calculated to fit a certain individual. There were times where even with the buying or selling, they thought that, okay, this is the sign of the time. I would say that we're closer. I believe we're closer, but I think even that is just a foregone conclusion, because being 2,000 years away from them, of course, you're closer to the end, than what they were. There are things that I see that I think we're missing then happening now, such as the proposed or expected building, of a third temple, and different things that are being whispered about in various corners. But I'm still not so clear on revelations that I'm able to really put my finger on it and say, see, this is that.
You feel the same way for like Daniel too? Like outside of Revelation, other prophets that predicted or prophesied signs of the future, or is it just Revelation or all of them?
That I don't feel clear on?
Yeah.
I'm more clear with Daniel. And I would say more than less of the events that Jesus referenced in Matthew, Mark, and Luke than I am with Revelation. But
yeah,
I'm not confident enough to say that I have the best understanding, or even what I would consider a complete and perfect understanding of Daniel or Christ, outside of the natural examples that were fulfilled by the prophecy, the previous examples, Daniel's 70th week, and Christ coming in at a certain time frame, matching up with the prophecy, and certain things happening that directly can be traced to what he was speaking of. But I don't think that was it. I think it's a reoccurring fulfillment. that thing that was fulfilled once will be fulfilled again, just in greater magnitude and scope.
Yeah. Okay.
Lisa, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, I'll tell you this. As far as the statue with the empires, I think we can all agree we're down to the clay and iron, right? I mean, because unless Rome is still in power, which I kind of have I'll say conspiracy theorists that I think they still are. You know, I mean, I don't think they fully died out. I think they expanded covertly. That's just my personal opinion.
Shout out to T. I always say it wrong. You'll remember. Lamp in the Dark.
Yes.
Lamp in the Dark
and
Tares Among Wheat. I think it's a 3-part series. I can't remember the third, but 3-part series. And yeah, I mean, it documents, you know, like the history of the Catholic Church, you know, Bible translations, the relationship, martyrdoms, the relationship between end time prophecies, you know, the beast and the false prophet, and the abundant similarities. If you haven't watched that, now I think the total, if you watch all 3, it's like 9 hours, and you know, we're some weirdos. We've watched it a few times. not all in one sitting, but it's good stuff.
The first time we watched it all in one sitting.
I think we did. Yeah. It's good stuff. But yeah, it's hard to deny that Rome ever stopped being in power, you know, and now, like, even world leaders, they've got to kiss the ring. You know, they still have to kiss the ring, even though it's not like a Roman Catholic world like it was, you know, 1,000+ years ago before the Reformation and everything. But nonetheless, so, you know, Lee says, you know, the fact that evil is now good and good is evil, and good is seen as bad, it may not be the end times, but it's just crazy, you know. And that's true, you know, and we can get that suspicious feeling like, man, we at least, here's the thing that I've always said, you know, like in the last couple of years with things going on, we at least know that things are going to hell in this country, you know. So whether whether the Lord's coming back and this is, you know, the Antichrist is going to be revealed in the third temple and all that, things are getting bad. I think a lot of that's
relative to what we see. We often have a very almost forced view of things because of our not proximity, but just our culture, you know, and where we are. We see a point where evil is being called good now here, but just from, you know, whether you read Thomas Sowell's books or just a very rudimentary view of history or overlook of history, will show you that things were much worse for a long time and they thought it was good, you know, whether it was child sacrifices or you know, conquest and slavery, which was the history of the world. Things that we now consider evil were considered good, if not just a part of the standard quo. So we're looking at it now because it's here and saying, well, see, things that are evil are called good and good is called evil. But I think it's been much worse for most of the history of the world. And it will get much worse. So we'll continually be increasing where evil is called good. I think what we're seeing here, though, is the precursor to a falling society. And there have been many more well-respected and knowledgeable people than I am, who point to our status as a country, the things that we accept and propagate and liken it to other countries right before their fall, you know, other kingdoms and empires right before their fall. So while I do think that in our life, the things that were esteemed as good, you know, family, honor, duty, respect, you know, treating one another with love, those things have become laughable and scoffed at, while vitriol and hatred towards, you know, those who oppose you, and, you know, the desecration of the family, you know, silent weapons for quiet wars, things that are detrimental to the society and to the individual is deemed as good and holy, and let me have my life as I want it. You know,
boy just said a couple things.
Yeah.
Yeah, another advisement. You mentioned Thomas Sowell. I think one of the books here. Where is it?
Stop stunting on him,
right
man.
there, I think. Cultures and Conquest by Thomas Sowell. Yeah, we have very bad history, very bad grasp of history. We've been taught a certain version of it. But it's good to show what the world was actually like, how it got the way it got economically and so forth, slavery, whatever it may have been, all over the world in different countries. Very good book he just referenced, but Thomas Sowell was also the Don, so he's the guy. But yeah, I want to take a step back. I do want to say that there are, I would call, precursors that I think we should look for, actual signs that are like, okay, this isn't just things are getting bad. This is it. It's go time, period. So we can have discussion on that. But I want to take a step back. Like I say, we're at the whiteboard and going in, and it's like, hold on, son. And I think that's what you got to do when you're actually studying or having a conversation, is entertain different schools of thought, entertain different ideas, and say, okay, if this is this, then what is that? Like, what is that? How does that change in reference to other scriptures, cross-referenced? Do I need to reconsider my position? And more or less, you really have to throw the kitchen sink at your own belief. If there's two beliefs or three, what can I throw at mine that would be it wouldn't be able to stand? So anyway, we kind of do that together either way. And wanting to share that with you guys, like, we're rethinking things and we're open to different views as it pertains to millennial. I think our mind's made up as far as the tribulation and the relevant timing, or what we'll experience as Christians or whatever, but still open-minded, but more so for me with the millennial, right? And there's, like I say, there's different components in the end times. So there's different areas that we can have different views, but nonetheless, take a step back. Yeah, we're trying to take a step back. T, you and I were talking about people being discouraged to come on the podcast. And that is also something we're taking a step back from, not, I don't want to make excuses, but I don't think anyone really has a mirror showing them themselves. I've had it more than anyone from recording our podcast, and I'm the one that would edit them. And I'm like, God, Keith, would you shut up? Gee. So, man, most of us don't get that, so I'm hearing it and I'm like, all right, man, I gotta find a way to shut up once in a while. But anyway, so in hindsight, you don't realize how you accidentally discourage people or accidentally alienate people or push people away, and it wasn't your intent. All we really want is to draw closer with other Christians and talk more, and we want them to feel welcome to do this, not as though we're either going to be combative or argumentative, or that we think we're more highly esteemed. And it's part of the reason, T, I told you I wanted to adjust the format a little bit to more of a hangout and just discussion and just, sharing ideas and having some fun and getting some good stuff in there. But was because as much as we quote stuff, we don't say that to posture. I really, it's not impressive to study for X amount of hours. If you're still a fool, it doesn't matter, or if you're wise, it doesn't matter. You can gain wisdom in 5 seconds or in 5 hours, just depends on the Holy Spirit, right? But
it means little if you've alienated your brother to whom that knowledge is for.
100%. And I don't view us as theologians. I don't view us as the elite, educated, like, as much as we may make people feel like we think we are. Not really. I may be have a strong opinion, or I may be well read for an amateur, on things, or be familiar with the church fathers, or whatever. But bro, we're going to actual theologians. We're listening to actual debates. We're trying to digest I was telling UT, I'm like, we're not at that level, bro. And not that I'm trying to convince you, but just having a general discussion. Like they have debates with each other in the original language. Their debates, they're speaking sentences in Hebrew or in Greek or in Latin or and to be on that level, you have to be able to write your papers and turn in your work in those language. Like, well, bro, come on, man, we're not doing all that. You know what I mean? We run on the courts every now and then and ball a little bit, but we're not in the NBA, so don't feel like you can't come out and shoot around with us. That's all we're trying to do is just come out, shoot around, and just be on the court having a good time,
I think, like I've told you, I think it's important to, at least for me to take accountability for my part, because I do understand that having been a pit bull and very zealous for the things that I believed in and for the people that I believed in, I know I alienated, and cultivated an environment that was not welcoming. And the hard part about that is that when you get to a point where you're growing and you're growing past that zealous point where you're just off with everyone's head, you've alienated so many people, they don't get to see the transition. So by the time they do check back in, they still assume that you're that person who's ready to just get at them at a moment's notice. So they're still very reluctant, if willing at all, to conversate, to try to converse. But it is recognized, and I like to at least take accountability for my part in it.
Likewise. I've told you, it's like, yeah, it's what you said. It's like, man, the last time someone experienced me, like, man, Facebook's good for this. They'll show you a memory and you're like, who in the world was that guy? What are you talking about, you idiot? And bro, you said the other day, I was a pit bull, out there barking and biting, for a guy that didn't care about me and doesn't care about my Lord. Like, frankly. And it's like, bro, we're out here and it's a lot it was in Paul's day. I'm glad I baptized none of you, right? What were they arguing about? I'm of Apollos. I'm of Paul. I'm of this. So we're pastor worshiping. We're church clicking. We're doing those things, and it's divisive. It's creating sedition and schisms, either unintentionally or intentionally. And have you ever been in a church that was like fellowshipping with someone, and it was like it's the weirdest vibe, and like people have to show off and give their best praise and do this, that, and the other, like. And it's like, it's not real, man. Like, I don't know if you're aware of that, but it's not. So anyway, all of it's unhealthy, all of it's unhealthy, and doesn't help us to come together, but we played our part. And, we genuinely thought, we were doing good. It was the gospel. It was the gospel, and then people always hide behind the truth, and we have the truth, or we're, bro, all right, time out, chill, madam sister. She's seeing the chats right now. So if you, this is like a pub, the legal, you may have, I can't even think, man. I know what I want to say.
You're so dumb.
We out here bugging in the chat, tweaking.
Oh man. Oh geez, mess me up. You see the legal commercials where there's a class action lawsuit. Whatever it is, where you exposed to asbestos or where you may be entitled. It's like, did you come across these guys here? Did you come across, you may be entitled for compensation from your Lord, Yeah, man. Yeah. So that, all of that in a nutshell is just like, all right, well, let's make sure that's what we're putting out there. Let's make sure that people know, like, if we have to audibly say it, audibly or verbally say it, or just try to show up more often. But, bro, the door's open. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, I don't know. I don't know, man. Anyone's welcome. I don't think, man, I'm not trying to be divisive. I'm not here to debate. I'm not here for none of that. We can have different opinions, but I'm still going to look at you as a brother or a sister. You know, if, you know, the basic gospel and you believe in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ and all that, we're good, you know. But we should be able to talk about things. And you should feel comfortable. You should feel comfortable knowing that this is a safe space, you know. So, right, because you've grown past that. I'm trying to catch up on comments. Because I'm late, what is your view on it, Keith? On the end, you mean when I was talking about changing our view on the millennial reign? I think that's what you're referring to, based on where it was. I don't have a view right now. It's suspended at the current time. It's just my previous teaching and view is suspended, paused until further notice, because as it pertains to, you know, the end times, I'm open to changing any of it, right? I'm open to new information. I mean, even the pre-trib, post-trib, which is where I feel most comfortable with, there's not a pre-trib rapture. I believe the church goes through. I didn't start there. I started pre-trib. You know, I was taught that by default, you know, left behind and all that stuff. I'll be nice. So, yeah. And yeah, I started looking at post-trib. I started looking at what do they teach, because I'm sure it's coming from the Bible. I'm sure they believe they have scripture for it. So what is it? And then the more and more I started looking, I'm like, man, look, yeah, there are precursors, and the precursors lead to Christians being martyred and to this, that, and the other. So I believe that. But nonetheless, the end of it, right, when the culmination of, you know, Babylon being destroyed and you know, the Lord coming back and you know, the thrones and martyrs reigning with him for 1,000 years while Satan is bound. I used to teach that as a literal 1,000-year period that would happen. But there's different views. Where'd the rebel go? The Rebel Golem left. Well, look, I'm just going to block both of you. I'm just going to do my thing right now. So looking like cross-referencing scriptures in the end times, I started saying, wait a minute, I'm not sure if this is a literal time period. I have plenty of reasons why I say it is. I have plenty of references, whether it be biblical, like cross-reference scriptures, or whether it be church fathers, or where, you know, anything that I would do to make a case, you know, for that. I still have those things. We can do that, but there's contradictions. There's things that like, wait a minute, if this is this, and I don't want to get into that right now, but I'm just open to the fact that there could be a different meaning or interpretation of the 1,000 years, or how it's played out. I know that doesn't help you understand what I think about it, but it's just where I'm at, and it's paused. So all of this, I'm taking a big step back. We're going to continue to study. But we will go into this with, as we do, you know, further live streams and podcasts on end time stuff, we're going to be in the scriptures. So we're going to say, look, all right, let's just deal with one component. Let's just deal with the Antichrist, you know, what's some scriptures about him and where do we get that from? Make sure we have a clear understanding of that. So get into it. All right. The Rebel's back. Yay. So, anyway, where are we? What do we got? I've got something, but what do you guys got?
I want to see what you got.
Shoot, I forgot something.
I did want to kind of point out that in your diatribe, you mentioned how we're essentially,
you got jokes?
holding. I mean, we're holding on to our position as it pertains to, you know, the church going through tribulation, while still reconsidering other things. And I think it's important to understand that considering doesn't mean you have to reject the whole thing. And holding on to something, it's important to go on to study, understanding that just because you have to reconsider a point doesn't mean that the whole teaching goes out the window.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's what prohibits a lot of people from accepting or really considering a different position, because they think that by accepting one tenet, I now have to embrace the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or by rejecting one tenet, I now have to reject the whole thing. And it doesn't have to be that. It's not a zero sum. It's not an all or nothing. You know, many of our beliefs have evolved from seeing one thing and saying, well, we don't have to try to re-examine the whole thing right now, but at least for this thing, what we believed is under question, you know, and then we consider that until we either confirm it or it should be rejected, and then we do so, not feeling like, oh, well, now I have to reject the whole church and everything they taught because this one thing may be off, you know.
Yeah.
But we also don't feel like because the Jehovah's Witness may have said something correct, they now have to accept everything they teach. You know.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. And you'll be surprised. And that's why you always want to listen to even someone you view as an opponent, or someone Jehovah's Witness, or they're of a different religion to you, different faith. You know, there's still areas you agree. You know, so you know, I remember dealing with a Jehovah's Witness, and he started with a lot of presumption, you know, and he's trying to make a case against certain things, and I'm like, no, I don't believe that. Like, no, I don't do that. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. No. So we have that in common. We're good there. Now what? So, but yeah, you never know. And even within the church, within the faith, you know, there are some things, you know, I want to share. It reminds me, every once in a while I want to share, like I saw a video of like all these different false teachers and their false teachings. I thought it'd be cool to every once in a while during the episode, you know, highlight one of them. And it's like, is this a false teacher? Here's what they've said. And, you know, because some of it, you know, it's obvious, but it's not obvious to everyone that that's a false teaching. And because we believe, like the Christian church believes a lot of false teaching as like daily affirmation type talk. And we think all these things are real, and they're not. And they're harmful. You know, that's the real problem. But so long story short, but in watching it, I'm like, you know, they're making, you know, people that don't believe in the Trinity, you know, heresy. And I know, we know Church Fathers Day, that them's were fighting words, you know, he was a heretic, you know. So, but in my mind, it's like, all right, so that's a view of, I could see if you, certain teachings about the Godhead might be heresy, like taking the divinity away from Christ. But how you split the atom, as long as you believe that he's the Son of God and that he died for your sins, like let's leave the word heretic for like real specific things. But how you view and how you interpret the Godhead, which is just the divinity. That's it. The divinity, like what it means to be divine, his divine existence. We're carnal, right? We're gonna get spiritual things wrong from time to time. And I know 2 Corinthians that the spiritual man knows the spiritual. I know, you know, but we're trying our best with the help of his spirit to understand spiritual things, you know. But if at one point in time we get it wrong, what if I change my mind later, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. I think that's a sticky thing, because there's plenty of, there's plenty of room there. But so I'm not trying to just deem people heretics or false teachers, but I think it's important to highlight, well, here's what they teach. Is that heresy? Is that something we should stay away from? Or is that, you know, but man, like we're just calling everything, you know, nah, man, settle down.
So we make the core tenets more widely ranged than what they actually are. And we take things that are not grievous offenses,
right,
and make them so.
Yep.
We use blasphemy and heresy more than those in the scriptures did.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a good point.
And at times it's because I think at times it's because of the cult like adherence to our belief, to our denomination, to our pastors and elders. But we don't consider what the scriptures actually teach. You know, we're told directly in scripture that if someone does not bring this doctrine, there's a certain, you know, there's a certain teaching, and more or less we reduce it down. It's the Father and the Son, and it's Christ is come in the flesh.
Right.
So if we can agree on those two things, then we should be able to, even when we disagree, say, look, they didn't walk with us, but he that's not against us is for us. I think we forget about that part. And sometimes I think it's a self-gratification. It is our way of feeling better about what we have. They don't have this, and God is pleased with us, therefore he gave us this, and they're wrong, therefore we can't be pleased with them. And we're again,
and doesn't that start at the church?
Yes.
Doesn't the church, like the structure, the the organization, the pastor and the organization cultivate that way of thinking, and almost have to, and not all, but generally, because you kind of have to have that. It's like political. It's like you have to inspire some populist pride or some patriotism or whatever to get people to flock and to stay on that side and not to go to the other side, because to be on the other side, man, those are it's every political vote. It's a battle of good and evil. Well, I mean, settle down. So it may be in some respect, but they want you to see it that way. So that, I'm not evil. I wouldn't go, So the church is guilty of that too, as we've already talked about, kind of being, raised in the church or, coming up as young guys. And it was so divisive, and it's all, they're of the devil and they're not saved and this, that, and the other. And meanwhile, I'm working with this unsaved Christian whose conduct is better than ours.
Yeah.
And what did, Paul say in Romans about the Gentiles being a law unto themselves? When you are the Jews and you have the law and you're living the way you live, and the name of God is blasphemed amongst the Gentiles because of you, and you have the law. You're the moral people of God, and then the Gentiles just within themselves do good, like Cornelius just being devout in his heart. Who knows what he was devout to, but man, that's crazy. That's crazy. We got to rethink this thing. I'm even stuck on, I'm not sure exactly. Is it Naaman, how you pronounce it? He came, to be washed. He had leprosy, and it was Elijah that told him to wash 7 times in the Jordan. But then he took the soil back. He asked if he could take the dirt back. So he would be on the territory, on the ground or the territory of Yahweh, of the God of Israel, and that when he prayed, he would be standing on that soil. So when he went back, and it was like Elijah didn't even, that's what bothers me. It really does bother me. It's like Elijah didn't say, no, don't go back there and do those things with those people. Didn't say nothing. Just permitted him to take the soil. And it's like, because you knew who the real God was, who the real Lord was. And maybe there could be a bunch of reasons, but maybe I say I do that now because, look, as long as you're praying to the right one, he'll lead you to the right place. He'll lead you to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Maybe that's it. Pray to him and follow him. And Elijah didn't do a thing more past that. Like, man, that's crazy. It'll mess with you. But they definitely wouldn't allow that in church today.
No.
Guys in the chats, I want to switch gears a little bit, but guys in the chat, the Rebel Golem is moving around, so I've got to move her camera angle.
Don't I move around all the time? Sorry.
Well, stop, okay? Just stop.
I'm trying.
Stop it. Be in all subjection or whatever,
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Come on.
Here we go.
You can't fumble the scripture when you try and use it like that.
I know, right?
Jeez, what just happened there?
Yeah, you got that. Okay. Oh boy, yeah, you got me. I was going to switch gears. Yeah, before he roasted me, I was going to switch gears. I'm curious. Okay, I'm curious. This isn't for ego's sake. I have something I want to share, but not for ego's sake or for us, but previous episodes of the podcast, whether it was the episode or part of an episode or a topic, is there anyone that you remember like, on the top that was like, I actually enjoyed that stream, or I really enjoyed that guest or that topic or whatever. I want to share one of my favorite moments. Okay. So I really want to share one of my favorite moments, and I was hoping someone would be watching. I don't think they are though, but anyway, so I wanted to ask anything that you guys remember or thought that was really either really funny or just memorable, had a good time, it was a good stream, it was a good topic, I really learned something, anything. So Tia, Sheree, either one of you have one that comes to mind? I haven't asked you guys. I'm just
thinking I know what I'm about to say.
Somebody must have got roasted. Somebody must have got flamed.
Oh,
no, you're not gonna say.
I think I enjoyed the most those where we were all in person, because it was more personable.
Which we're gonna get back to,
especially with especially with Bruce and Terry on the panel.
Yeah.
But as far as like the most memorable, it's got to be the gun seller.
Yo.
Gotta be the gun seller. It's gotta be. That's gotta be.
We bring that up all the time, man. That was hilarious. And I wonder, I don't know if I've asked him. I wonder if he even knows what he said.
That's my guy.
Sometimes you say things, especially in the heat. Like I think in that conversation, he was trying to defend his view, and this was Terry. And he meant I think what he was trying to reference was like, as a photographer, he doesn't take pictures of drug selling or like guns. And he says, I don't take pictures. What to find it. I don't take pictures of gun selling. We're like, gun selling? What are you, the Lord of War? Who's your clients? Like, gun selling. Artistry. Oh Lord, that was good. That was good. But I don't think, and we started dying laughing and we're joking. I don't think he knew he said it backwards. So I don't
got to go on a soundboard.
Gun selling.
My man.
Oh man. All right. Sheree, you going to tell us who got roasted or what?
My favorite was T's terms.
Oh, no. that's outtakes. That is bloopers. We were recording. That wasn't a live stream. We were recording, and I said, bro, I'm not gonna let you say that on this podcast. And like, we have to stop right there, bro. And he wasn't wrong. It was a euphemism. He wasn't wrong in the way he was saying it, but the real meaning, I'm like, you're not saying that. I had no idea
about the real meaning either.
Yeah, he had no idea, dude.
Oh, that's the most hilarious thing.
That was not that funny for real.
I'm crying.
Listen. We got the we haven't tended to it in a while. We've been gone, but we got the locals channel, right? That's going on the locals. That's that I still have that blooper reel.
I'm gonna report it.
If you want to hear that clip of what T said, right? Join the locals, and also I'll tell you what else is going to be on there, but yeah, that's the place for that. Yeah, definitely. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Oh, can you guys hear these? You can't hear nothing? Hold on. I wonder why. Now, my only thing, I know what it's doing right now. How about now?
Emotional damage.
Can't hear nothing. I think they can. Hold on. I'm playing with you. That's the place for that. Yeah, definitely. All right, definitely. Definitely. I'm listening to the stream right now. It's delayed.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah. Oh, it came through on the stream through my ear, and it does. I don't know why it does that. Yeah. It came through on the stream. Yeah. All right. It came through. Sorry about that. We're back. Where's the elevator music? All right, and we're back.
That was nice music, Keith.
It was.
It was.
It was.
I got better bars.
I'm gonna need that on the soundboard. Yeah, I've got to figure out how to make those come through so you guys can hear them and they can hear them. I don't know how the fancy stuff works. Where was I? Where were we completely derailed?
Favorite moments.
Oh, and you were talking about, okay. Yeah. And then before we wrap up, remind me to go back to locals, okay? To the locals group or whatever. Yeah, so I don't see anything. Okay. So you guys want to see mine? I actually have a clip queued up for my favorite. I watch this every once in a while. Like I'll be going through the channel and stuff, and I'll watch this, and I'm just dying laughing, man. God, I love it. All right, hold on. Shout out to Bruce, because he's in this clip, but he was on me for a while about getting like soundboard capabilities and things. I have it. I just don't know how to get it on the stream right now. So I'm boomer mode right now. So, but yeah,
He's probably flaming you right now.
He probably is. Yeah.
He probably flaming you right now.
All right.
Bro, you put them are dated in the first century.
Can you guys hear it?
Is ludicrous. Yeah.
No?
That thing stuck out at me. I'm not an expert on any of the scrolls, right? You know, but
he's not either.
He's not. He has no idea.
I'm trying to stop this right now.
But, hey guys, the first
You
camera.
can hear it on the chat. I mean, on the stream.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
can't hear it through the headphones.
And why did that do that? Bear with me, guys, please.
Working with some new equipment.
Yeah, it's man. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't have to explain it. You guys aren't gonna write a book on it, right? How about I pause my mic? No. Darn it, man. All right, what should I do? Just play it for the live stream?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys gonna watch it that way?
Bro, you put them are dated in the first century, which is ludicrous. Yeah. That thing stuck out at me. I'm not an expert on any of the scrolls, right? You know, but
He's not either.
he's not. He has no idea what he's talking about. But hey guys, the first camera up here, and I'm like, yo, that's like the craziest thing.
He made it seem like the Dead Sea Scrolls was one set of writing.
Get the shot of the beach.
Yeah. He said, get this shot of the beach. Let me get the beach, because he's a priest.
Homie was losing it.
Oh man! He says, "Come on, guys, come film me. I got something. I got a great place to shoot. I'm sorry, man. I had to get that one off. He got a shot of the beach.
He's crying.
Oh man!
How do I pause this?
He's just really.
All right, hold on. If you watch right when the segment first started, he was already laughing, and that's why he said like I had to get that one off. He was getting ready to point that out then. So when it came back around, he threw that in.
But you said something really dumb. Really dumb. Easy research. These were made. Christ wrote these. Right.
Yeah.
What?
Right. I mean, there's a whole lot of generalizations. For one, he made the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Hey, all right, well, if I keep watching, they're going to give me some meat. They're going to have information that just blow the lid off this. Blow it wide open. Prove the conspiracy, everything. And then what's more disappointing?
It's fake because it
just
was
more
fake.
questions,
And then, you know what I'm saying? It's fake.
Yeah. There's no versus green.
Then this girl came in like, yeah, it's fake. I said it.
I agree.
Went to the Caesar.
Right. It's pretty much
That's it. I was when I seen her say render the Caesar was his, and she was just like, there it is. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's one of those moments that's like,
or is this a joke?
Right.
Which one is it?
right.
It's like one of those fake movies. It's a fake documentary. Oh man, it's really a comedy.
It's really a comedy.
They're trying to pass it off as it's real. There it serious?
He roasted him.
Like, oh man.
What? Are you serious?
There's a Netflix series, I can't say the word on air, who drew the male member.
Oh yeah.
It's like what you're talking about. It's like a fake documentary.
It's a fake documentary.
And like, yeah, I was there and I don't know what Johnny did, but you know,
Yeah.
the whole thing, it's cinematic, it's filmed.
One here agrees with me, and we have
All right.
all the information to
All right.
prove it. We're gonna
All right, I'm coming back to you guys. Shout out to Bruce, man. Shout out to Bruce. What's going on the screen? Everything's going crazy. Hey, go on. I leave y'all for a second. I come back and you're hitting switches.
I hit nothing.
Okay. Nah, man. I don't know if you guys got to hear that good, but man, I watched that and I'm just rolling. It's a fake documentary. It's a fake documentary. It's a comedy. Like, so for in case you missed that episode, it was us dealing with a documentary that was claiming that that Christianity, that the gospel was a Roman conspiracy, Roman what do you call it? Myth. That the Roman powers made that up to get the Jews under control or something. So, but it was like all the cruxes of their argument were baseless. Like if you listen to, again, theologians, not me, but just I can read and I can find out that what they're saying is not exactly what they're presenting it as. But the theologians will respond to that and be like, yeah, no serious historian is going to agree with anything you're saying. Like no one. It's baseless. Like this is amateur hour easily, But it was hilarious. It really was, to sit back and roast them, to sit back and watch. So, and me and T are trying to like, church fathers and, and Bruce is just like, yo, get a shot of the beach. Yeah. Oh man. Man. So yeah, that's by far like my favorite moment. So yeah. Anyway. All right. I just hit something. Okay. All right. So what's up? Where we want to go from here? You guys wanted this again? You wanted some of this? That's what y'all wanted? You needed that? I gotta wake y'all up. Need my guy in here. Yeah.
I didn't know they had family videos that clear when you was young, Keith.
What happened?
I didn't know they had family videos that clear when you was young.
Boy, roast me right now. Boy, roast me right now. Oh man. All right, so where are my notes? I'm sorry, I'm doing too much.
You're doing too much.
So much too much. There are things, talking about switching up, what in the world? Ms. Newton said, what in the world? There are things as far as us, like, coming back into things. There was a few videos before, a few topics that would kind of get a YouTube strike. And, we're going to be careful in that. I think there's probably like 3 or 4 areas that if you guys really want to deal with it, it's going to have to be, it can't be on this platform. You just have to respect the fact that YouTube is a business.
Mm-hmm.
It's a business. I don't care what side politically or spiritually they line up on and what ideas they personally believe in or don't, but their advertisers don't. Their advertisers won't pay for it, So even if we're not receiving money for this, YouTube is, you know what I mean? So in order for us to partner with them and use their platform, we have to agree to things that aren't going to harm their business model. So, kind of looking at it from that point of view, I agree. And it's like, there's plenty of things we can talk about today. Who knows, it might change tomorrow, like Sheree, you were saying things are getting, tighter and tighter. But if it's, a government sponsored medicine that was, promoted, by and large, that's going to have to be off the platform. If it's, gender issues, that's going to be not gender roles, but possibly, who knows? Matter of fact, you probably can't talk about someone who's obese. I don't know. I don't even know what the rules are. I can't keep up with them. But as we find out, we'll do what we can to have those conversations elsewhere. I think Rumble's a good option, but again, locals could be a good option as well. So anyway, but I think biblical things, end times, we can definitely dive into all that. It's not really a problem at this point, but may have a different approach going forward on certain topics that we still want to touch base on, but just have to be careful how we do it. So, unseen realm. Do we want to, what's that? You guys hear that?
Mm-hmm.
It's just out of nowhere. I know, right?
YouTube tapping in, make sure we behaving.
Okay. I'm being good, big brother. Yeah, I can't stand. I left my phone with 5 minutes of charge, and you ain't here a while now. I just saw that. Seeing the comments. I mean, it's not major. I ain't doing nothing.
Please know how to floss.
So yeah, shut up, Sheree. No, true stories. I'm in here in my office. My daughter's with me. And one of my favorite pleasures as a dad is making my kids cringe. So, y'all will never see it, but just randomly they'll be walking by the house and I'll give them peace sign and duck face. And they're like, oh God, Dad. Oh, don't do that. So I said, look, you're
That
here.
sounds
You're
disgusting.
It is. And I take anything that I can do. I take great pride in making them cringe. Absolutely making them cringe.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I'm not the, what do you say?
So he be here like, I can't do
Izzy think it's cool though. And I'm like, nah, bro.
Might have to holler at the homie.
But it's kind of funny because it's like it's easy to make them cringe, but it's like at least I'm not the dad that actually thought that was cool. Like I know that's not cool. But anyway, one day I made Raina. She came to work with me, and I was like, "Nah, you're gonna teach me how to floss. I'm gonna get this because I just gotta make. Whenever y'all make me mad, like yeah, I'm gonna break that out. The floss and I don't know the dagger or whatever. Yeah, I can do all that. I do all that. Yeah, It's out of nowhere. I just come and 6'3", 250 pounds bouncing through the house. I'm like,
I'll make sure I knock from now on. Can't walk into that, cuz.
Oh man, it's definitely the highlight of my day is making them cringe. So, anyway, so had to get my young boy on here and show you how it's done. All right, I'll leave it alone. But no, I mean, do you guys, kind of want to lead into any of that, or just what you think, as far as leading into end times, leading into unseen realm and end times, and talking about these things. I mean, anything as to kind of preface that conversation and get it started, that you feel, that you want to touch on or address.
Should we tell them what the unseen realm is, like with Michael Heiser and where we got
I'm not necessarily speaking about the literal, literary work, but the idea, the doctrine of the teaching. But you're talking about the book, right? The book, and there's also a documentary, but
yeah, I was thinking more of the doctrine of the book. Like,
got you. That's what I'm referring to too. Yeah. The actual teaching, the divine council, angels, their role they play in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, we have the same, doctrine as him. She mentioned Dr. Michael Heiser. If you don't know him, look him up. But we have the same doctrine on him as it pertains to these things. I think where it comes to like Satan, we differ, but Satan's fall, we differ at this point. But But no, our view of the angels, our view of where demons came from, what we call evil spirits and demons, our view of the angels that are chained and waiting judgment, all those, line up. But, it's when Paul talks about principalities and powers, like he's talking, he's talking, you know what I mean? Like that, this is what he's referring to.
Yeah.
And when we started studying Satan and started asking questions about like certain scriptures didn't make sense. Till you remember, I told you, I was like, look, there's something we're missing, right? Because we go from the Old Testament where Satan's mentioned like twice, like once, and it's not even a proper noun. It's not a name. It's a thing. It's it's a Satan. It's an adversary. It's not, the man or the spirit named Satan. I think he's present, but he's not called that. So it's just adversary. And then, all right, so that canon is closed, that collection of books called the Old Testament. Ezra and Nehemiah's day, they collect the books back up, and that's, what we call the Old Testament is whatever happened then. But then you have deuterocanonical or apocryphal text, which these are a bunch of different terms, but deuterocanonical, are the books that were written, that happened and were written after Nehemiah and Ezra collected those books, after they made that quote canon, which just means the rule or the standard or the measuring stick. Like this is the inspired text or whatever, the word of God, whatever terms you guys use. But things that happened in the next couple hundred years and were written about and writings that took place, some canons still have them. Early translations of the Bible at least include them as an appendix. And today we call them apocrypha, which means like unknown or hidden, I think I'm remembering that. All this is just, fact check me if you want. And then the New Testament, the writing of the apostles, all of a sudden is talking about all of this Satan and demonology and principalities and powers and casting out evil spirits and what's that?
Angels being locked up.
Yeah, the angels.
Judging angels, like all kinds of stuff.
We were going to, let's make a note of that. We talk about doing podcasts and we never do them, but let's make a note about, scriptures that don't come from the Old Testament, or at least not to our knowledge, but there's also scriptures that they don't come from the Old Testament, and neither did this doctrine. This doctrine came from the intertestamental period, those few hundred years from, again, Ezra and Nehemiah's time, temples rebuilt, and they collect the books, right? But then what we call apocrypha, like I say, those books are written, and the Maccabean era, the Maccabean Wars, and all that. So all that takes place, and they're writing these things, and then that's the Second Temple era. And in the Second Temple era, they started talking more about demons and I think their knowledge or their theology on them started to evolve or started to expand, because now you start seeing writings that actually talk about these things, and then now Jesus is on the scene. What is he talking? What is he talking? It's all unseen world. It's all spirits. It's all casting out, binding, loosing, Satan, Beelzebub, which means Lord of Flies, Lord of Spirits, well, now he's Lord of Spirits. Where did that come from? An ancient Jew just knew that there was an adversary, man, it's crazy. So long story short, there's a lot. And first understanding that intertestamental period, the mind of the Jew, at least to my understanding today, it seemed to have changed. It seemed to have evolved. And now the doctrine and so forth on evil spirits is being elaborated on. And, the book of Enoch is written and so forth, or the book of Enoch is being shared, is being transmitted, is being copied, or a version of it, to the point that we do have not only, text that reference it, but we have church fathers that reference it as well. So something did exist in that era. And the teaching did exist without a shadow of a doubt. The teaching that comes from the first book of Enoch, I would specify, or at least the first 10 chapters or so of the first book, because all scriptures are compiled. They're all compositions of these writings and these writings put together. So if one comes in question, you mentioned this about the faith or whatever, you don't throw the whole thing out and say, well, I just question the whole thing. No, that page of that book may have been flawed, but it had nothing to do with 37 pages before that. That came from a different source. You know, so anyway, man, it's a lot. It's a lot to go through, you know. I mentioned I'm sorry, I'm kind of going in right now. I apologize. Hobson. Is that the guy's name? Rapper?
Yeah.
Hobson. Him and Talib Kweli, you know, had a conversation, and so I shared a video about that and you know, my reaction, my thoughts on it. And you know, in that I mentioned, you know, like I would hear, you know, guys I hung out with, grew up with, or whatever, you know, the Bible comes up or whatever, and it's like, so just a book written by man, you know what I mean? It's a religion, it's a book written by man and all that. And it's like, okay, I mean, do you want to discuss that? Like, do you want to actually like research it? Or is it just something nice to lean back on where the morality and the judgment that comes with it is not something applicable to you? Because only God can judge me. Well, no, that was made by man, you know? So, and I didn't get into it in that video, like the case for the scriptures, but it's the same thing. It's like, all right, so one thing comes into question. Exodus 20, you know, he justifies hitting a slave. So we just don't believe the whole thing. Like, these are dumb arguments that people make against it. And it's like, bro, all right. Anyway, T, you was about to say something.
I was?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
No, look, I'm carrying the load right now, guys.
Well, I was going to say something.
Now you're carrying the load.
Oh, man.
As far as the unseen realm, how I explain it to my kids, and maybe, I don't know, maybe this could help somebody else understand. It's like I go back and we talk about Noah's time, and we talk about angels not keeping their first estate, coming down, procreating with humans, having gigantic children, giants, which you see later on, again, and further scriptures, David and Goliath, and then Goliath having brothers. There's also this long living giant, was it Og? I can't remember what his name was. However, look it up because it's all up in there.
Og from the land of Bashan, I think. Bashan.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an important territory.
So, yeah.
Jesus put his thing down there.
So they die. Now they're disembodied spirits because they're partly angel, partly human. Angels are immortal, so they have that spirit, and now they're disembodied spirit, which is where you get demonic spirits from. We wonder where they came from. This is where they came from. This is the origin story of demons, ghosts, and whatever, some aliens, whatever. This is the origin story. So now we get to Nimrod. This is after the flood.
Different.
Well,
I get what you're saying. What we think are ghosts, what we think are
spirits.
Like dead relatives.
I'm saying spirits.
Yeah. I guess it depends on who's talking. You know, is it different? You know, I think the Greek word is like plasma or something. That's different from
like a phantom,
like Nustos or something. Yeah, like a phantom. Yeah. So I think like again, it depends on who's talking. But I just want to specify. I think I know what you're talking about, and it's what we would all think of, like dead relatives or the spirits of this or spirits of that, and the ghosts. You know, those are the ghosts that visit us. But no, those are go ahead, Sheree. Yeah, you know,
folk.
So from there we go from the then you know, God sees this is they're just jacked up, so God gets rid of it. Okay, and now we start over, and then we have, you know, Noah, his sons, their wives, and so on. Now let's fast forward and we go to Nimrod. Okay, so they build the Tower of Babel. I'm not even going to get into all that with Nimrod and how he became what he was, but he made himself a god in a way, and so they decide, we're going to build this tower. We're going to make a name for ourselves, because you know they were supposed to be fruitful, multiply, and disperse. They didn't want to do that, so they wanted to stay.
Wasn't that a point where they started making their women drink a drink? Was that it, or was it before the flood?
You know what?
Plan B.
It was after. It was after the flood. Yeah,
Okay.
because yes, they had abortion back in biblical times. It was just a drink you would drink to
Not
basically disintegrate. If something did happen, it would disintegrate the fetus. So, so they get together. They have this. We're going to make a name for ourselves. We're going to be great. Extra biblical text says they had an agenda where they was going to go up and basically fight God, take the throne. So they built this tower. I think I could have swore, I forgot how many years it said they was working on it. But they were so dedicated to this one world, one religion, because they worship the same entities. They all were together. They were all one. We need to get that in our mind. The whole thing was a global government, okay? And they was going to build this tower. They was going to go against God. They was going to establish their own gods, make a name for themselves. They was going to be great. Unity, inclusion, all that. So, God seen what they was doing and was just like, man, you leave them alone, and they collaborate. They go through all this. They're trying to. And he read their hearts. He knew what they was planning on doing. Which makes me think, was it possible they could do it? Because so he struck that down, confused their language, so they couldn't communicate with each other. They were so dedicated to this task. They worked on it for years, day and night. There was no rest. They just changed shifts. So it was constant building.
They esteemed the blocks more than they did the people.
I was just about to say that if a person fell, because mind you, this thing is this high. So if a person fell and dropped, it was business as usual. They just kept building, going on. If a brick fell, they would mourn over the brick. So God comes down, confuses their languages, smashes it to smithereens. Now, because they all speak different languages and stuff like that, they all kind of group together in their own groups where they can understand each other. And from there, they disperse. Now, what God does, that's in the natural. And then what God does in the spiritual is he says, all right, so I'm going to allot different, I'm just going to say angels for argument's sake. I'm going to put an angel over here on this territory. You're going to guard, and you're going to govern them and watch them. I'm going to put an angel over this territory. But when these people go over here, I'm going to watch and govern over them and all this other stuff. But this right here, this lot is going to be mine. So God took a lot for himself. All right. So now we have the principalities and powers all set place at this point. You know what I mean? Because over these territories. Fast forward, people start worshiping these things. People started worshiping these entities.
The same gods, correct, that they took from Babel.
Yeah, which is crazy. So keep in mind, they all still had the same mind frame. It was just in different languages now. Which is why if you look at other like pagan religions and other I don't want to say cults, but let's just say other religions. So you got Hindus and good God, all these esoteric religions, and they all have an origin story. Even Incan and Mayans, they all have an origin story of a flood. People speak of like Anunnaki and stuff like that. Those are like fallen angels. It was. They're all the same story, just in different languages and different folklore. Gilgamesh, all these different things you probably heard. Titans, all these weird things. Mars, Pluto, Mercury, Venus, all of them. All this stuff it all stems right back to the Tower of Babel. Same story. They just all broke up, tweaked it a little bit, but it's all the same.
Are you sure you didn't write Unseen Realm?
So this is why I start getting excited, because as we see these territories over here, they had that entity over them, and then God has his lot. Then we get to Abraham. He tells Abraham, like, my family is basically going to come from your bloodline. So my portion of territory on this planet or plane of existence, this is going to be my portion. What is it, like the stars of the sky? Like it's going to be so many, woo. So later on, Ebony asked what you said. From Miss Newton.
Well, who said?
She said, what Keith say?
About you writing the book? Did you write Unseen Realm?
Oh.
I was just saying she was putting it down. Like she was.
Yeah. So now, like I said, it's all separated. Everybody has their lots. Abraham is where, this huge God's family and his lot is going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to fast forward. I'm skipping like generations here. Later on, I'm really going to skip all the way to Jesus.
Just to be clear, I don't want to stop you, but at the same time, I wasn't asking for someone to lay out the whole thing,
I know. I don't know why I decided to do that.
I mean, hey, if you want to, I was just asking, like why it needs to be approached, like what are we missing? Why are we missing it? What do we need to gain from this to go forward? Because, to really go through it, you've done a good job, but we'd be here, another hour or two, to really pinpoint some things. But so, I mean, if you want to keep going, you can, but you don't have to. I don't want to make you feel like you have to get start to finish through all of it, but,
Well, I'm actually talking, so I'm going to wrap this up.
Okay.
I'm going to finish my thoughts.
Okay.
So.
I'm going to finish my drink. I'm going to leave, but I'm going to finish my drink.
Oh, it's funny. So again, they're all separated. This is God's lot or whatever. So we go all the way to Jesus. Jesus comes, and not only is he here to basically set the record straight, like he's the second Adam. He's here to rectify the wrong and all of that. Put the law in our hearts and. Okay, let me wrap it up. So, when he comes, he's
coming to take the territories back.
Yeah, I was about to say we were those nations that were given to other other entities and stuff. We was not God's children. We was not His elect.
Gentiles, you mean the other nations? And this is why this is another indirect reason why, like, a Hebrew Israelite view is false. That Gentiles just means the diaspora, whatever. The Jews, the 10 tribes that were, spread all over the world. No. This is reversing Babylon. Mm-hmm. This is reversing what happened at the tower. He's coming back to bring them back.
Bringing his stuff with people that were not his people.
Right. So, and until the dispensation of the Gentiles is fulfilled, until he's done calling all of them back in. Notice first was the lost tribes, first was the Jews, and then it was to Cornelius and them, to the Gentiles, that were never his people, that he would be a light to, right? As Isaiah said, So, but no, he's coming to take those nations back, not at that very day, but he's initiating that process and sending out apostles, sending forth. Apostle means one sent forth. He's sending forth men to take the banner of the name of the Lord to different nations. Right. Period.
So not only is he coming here collecting souls back to God, not only is he here collecting people that shouldn't even be there. Right. So now we have a chance to be with God, because we was cast off like after Nimrod. So now we have a chance to be here back with God because we believe in Jesus, and which is so simple. And you got to be just stubborn to not take that deal. But not only is he taking the souls back, but he's taking territory back. So when he was coming down here, Keith, you was talking about it earlier.
Reversing Mount Hermon. Mm-hmm. That's where the angels ascend, right? When they came down on Mount Hermon when they took women, They
made their pact.
They didn't take a ring and get down on one knee and propose. They took them in all subjection, But yes, they made a pact, and so it just, is it the Transfiguration? I forgot that fast. I think it is. Did that happen on Mount Hermon? I forgot.
I don't
but
remember.
Yeah, I think it was. I can't place it right now. But even in the Old Testament, the Bible tells us details of locations, right? And that shouldn't be ignored. There's a really
reason.
cool app. I'm going to do a video sharing this app. There's a really cool app that actually helps with that, like to study an area in biblical context. Like if something's named in the Bible, it'll give you some context that you didn't have according to the scriptures, or from the scriptures, but it'll help you understand it better. Him doing the things that he did in different areas, even down to, the scriptures that he references and says are fulfilled, is for a reason. This is not, he's not just quoting a scripture, and being clever, but we miss it. We miss it. It's plain as day. It's right there. But so the location, I'm pretty sure, was Mount Hermon. And this is a correlation for the Old Testament. What important happened at Mount Hermon? Well, this is where the angels, and what is the gospel, So anyway, and this is him binding Satan. And we kind of back into why we have to think about a different interpretation of a millennial reign. Possibly a millennial is what it's called view, to where that 1,000 years is like he reigns forever, and he comes back and he binds Satan for that reign. Well, Satan is bound. He's one by one taking the nations back. He can deceive the nations no more. So you got to entertain it. I'm not saying it's doctrine and stamp it, but I'm saying you got to entertain it. There's an argument there, because he came back, and that's why we shouldn't be playing with demons. We shouldn't be playing with Satan. We pray, the Lord's Prayer, and to resist temptation and resist the evil or the evil one, depending on translation, but evil and the evil one. But other than that, his believers were to bind them. His believers were to cast out spirits and to do all this stuff. And that's why the 70 came running back to him. He sent out 70 disciples, not 12. He sent out 12 and then 70. And there's an Old Testament correlation there. There is the 12 tribes of Israel. So they're showing correlation, typification and correlation there, with the 12 apostles, 12 disciples. But he sent 70. Well,
did Moses have 72?
Moses had 70, right? And what were they doing? So, and even the number of, the number of the nations of the divine council was 70. So when he appointed the principalities, the angels over territories, if I'm not mistaken, it was 70. So if I'm not mistaken, fact check me on that. I could be wrong, but I believe, and that's where translations get you messed up. The Masoretic, the Hebrew text, says that, in Deuteronomy 32, I think it is, that he numbered them according to the number of Israel. But the problem is Israel didn't exist then.
Right.
It's the number of the sons of God, and that's what other texts, it doesn't matter. We're not going to get into all the weeds, but all these things matter. So he sent out 70. They came running back saying, look, we cast out demons in your name. Why? Why? Because he's Lord. They are not.
Right.
Satan's the God of this world, not of everything, right? And he's the Lord of evil spirits, Beelzebub, but he's not Lord over our Lord. He has a Lord. He has someone.
We know who you are. Oh, Jesus.
Yep.
Right. Well, why, hold on. Why have you come? Like to what do they say? To
torment us.
Torment. I was going to say mess with us.
For the time.
So
yeah.
He came to put the paws on you, but they saw him and knew what time it was,
Right.
That's what he was doing. That's what he brings. His lordship brought all authority was given to him under heaven and earth, right? So, and he said, look, I give you the keys of the kingdom. I'm giving you, go out, bind and loose, and, all these things. It wasn't to be played with. It's not even a question. If you believe he's Lord, and if you believe he's asked you to do said things, it shouldn't be a question. You should not be overly concerned or tormented by the thought of evil spirits or something like that. Anyway, so I don't want to get too much in that, but that's what you were talking about, Sheree, like the territories, and didn't he came and put his stamp down at Hermon and said, no, I'm taking this back to show you I'm taking the nations back, and I'm reversing what you did teaching evil, and I'm going to teach righteousness. And better yet, I'm going to put a righteous spirit within them to help them with righteousness.
Right.
So, yeah. And all of that has to be understood, and we can kind of go through at another time for certain parts, like let's have digestible pieces, so let's get a background of what you were talking about, whether it's the angels or Og of Bashan, and what you mentioned about Nimrod. I think some of that comes from Jubilees and Joshua.
Both.
So anyway, you have to know all that to come to, well, what is he doing when he comes the second time? This is only to come for earthly people doing bad things or earthly rulers doing bad things, not evil spirits, not, I mean, notice one of the biggest scriptures that we know from Revelation is, I saw a sign in the heaven, woman giving birth to a child, and there was a dragon, right? And there was a war in heaven, and Michael and his, it's like, that's a pretty big deal. So there's throughout the whole thing, there's angels right and left. There's a dragon and a war in heaven. There's all of these cosmic signs, all of these signs of cosmic or heavenly conflict. It's not just earthly. He's not just coming back to do something on earth. Whatever it is affects heaven and earth, seen and unseen, whatever. But I think all that has to be put in context. Like you have to know the beginning of the story before you can fully grasp the end. And we haven't fully grasped it. Like I said, we're not there yet. I think T's already ascended to the third heaven, but we're not there yet.
I knew such a man.
That's for you, T. I can feel him. He's ascending already. He's caught up to our Lord. All right, come back down. No, I'm messing with you. So anyway, Sheree, you asked me to do that, and it was like way too much, but it was fun.
No, it was necessary. And that's why I get excited. I really feel like we're, like I said it before, ambassadors for Christ. So if Jesus came down here to bring people to Christ, he ascended, we get filled with the same spirit that's in him. We're to continue the task. So we go out there and we recruit, we speak on behalf of Christ. We bring them to God. Well,
Yeah,
you
know what I mean by that.
We carry the banner of the name of the Lord one step at a time, one step further in enemy territory. And I do, again, a Dr. Michael Heiser, phrase or quote, we mentioned him earlier with Unseen Realm, but that's what spiritual warfare is it's not shouting at demons. It's taking back one person at a time, moving the banner of the name of the Lord into enemy territory. And that's war. That is warfare, is taking ground, Russia, Ukraine. I don't even know if I can say that on YouTube, but, just even mention it, but Russia and Ukraine, well, if they take, or they hit an important infrastructure, or they take a certain part of the land that's going to help them strategically, that's warfare. So we're to take one person back at a time by showing them, because he can't deceive them anymore. We have to recognize that he's not theirs. The people, the Gentiles, the non-believers, the people that don't know, that are in, whatever. So that's for us. Proceeding the banner a little bit at a time, one person at a time,
Yeah. Once I understood that, I really took being a Christian serious. Once I understood what your purpose as a Christian is to be doing, I really took it more serious then. Like when I'm talking to someone or witnessing to someone or trying to explain Christ or the faith or whatever to someone, like I take it way more serious than I did when I a young Christian. Because I want them to understand the task too. If you're going to carry the banner, then you got to do the job too. And I think people just convert because it feels good, but you just want the title, but there's work with it. It's not just I'm a Christian and that's it. But
and it's by example. Any leadership or anything you're trying to do should be first by example. There was a quote just came to mind. Preach the gospel at all times, and when necessary, use words. Because we're supposed to. I don't know any man that lives up to it all the time, but it's helpful to remember that and do the best we can. But let me ask you guys this: outside of like digging deeper in it at the moment, where would you point people? What do you think the best area is to understand this better, or especially to someone that considers himself a layman or a novice? Something's messing up on my end. Where would you point them, for either teaching on this or whatever it may be? Teachers.
Oh man.
Anywhere you've seen or heard it that you thought that was really good, like that's something that if I share with people, that would be very helpful. Easy to digest.
I can't recall, only because I think even with everything she just laid out, it was not even just, Michael Heiser or any other teacher per se. It's been an amalgam of different teachers and bring together things. And even with like the Sons of God, there was no commentary. There was no teacher that we could find at the moment, talking about Sons of God in Romans 8, as we've discussed before.
I was going to say, you said teachers, and I'm like, teachers? Like plural? There's more than one? But go ahead.
Yeah. There was no one who we could find at that moment to help us understand what the creature waiteth for, and what the entire creation travails and is in pains for. What hasn't yet appeared, but
Romans 8.
Yes. Yeah. What it means by the glory, the suffering of this world, could not be compared to the glory that shall be revealed in us. It took a lot of pulling from many different areas and a lot of time of like going over it and really digging into it to get to a point where we can understand what it means to even be a son of God, which opened us up to be able to start understanding these other things. So as far as point someone in the right direction, I think it's all specific to the individual and their level of knowledge in general, because it's hard for me to point you to Michael Heiser when you barely understand the fundamentals of the doctrine of Christ.
It's hard because you don't know if like what they would listen to or what they would hear, what teaching they would hear and what they would grasp and what they wouldn't. We're all at different places. So I may watch a clip and be like, man, that was yeah, I get it. That was good. And then someone else is like, what is he talking about? Right. So that's tough. Before we wrap up, I do want to kind of close off that part with, I joked about there being, plural teachers, whether or not there's plural teachers. And this, we keep name dropping him, which we will a lot, but just to give credit, you know what I mean? I don't want to be like, anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't want to be like some people, like always name dropping people, it gets old after a while, but to reference people that have said reasonable things. But is Dr. Michael Heiser the guy that we're talking about a lot in this, that, his writings and his works on the unseen realm and so forth, he's a theologian, and from my estimation, he's a professor. He's all those. He's got a doctorate, and he's done more, school on one topic than all of us have done in our life. But in his experience going through seminaries, he said that he's only ever spent one course hour in class talking about the unseen realm, talking about the heavenly hosts, the heavenly beings, angels, whatever you want to call them. 1 hour out of who in the world knows how many countless hours, like some for your doctorate. I mean, I don't even know how long that is, but here's the point. No one's talking about it. No one's taught. When he said, what did that tell me? What did that indirectly teach me? That taught me that my professor doesn't think it's important, so it's not important. There's really nothing to know here. There's angels. Yeah, there's angels up there, But, and then we go to read the text, and all of a sudden we got some holes. We got some things that we have to eisegete, we have to, fill in the blanks and kind of make up theories. Lucifer, that's his name when he was an angel in heaven, and he was the lead musician. And we're like, I'm just, picking on one. But it's like we make up all these things, and it's because we have a blind spot, and no one spent any time teaching us these things. Open up the Dead Sea Scrolls, and they're always talking about the heavenly host. They're talking about the angels that sin. They're talking about evil spirits. They're talking about all these things of antiquity that was a common conversation back then. But it was like,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like after the 3rd or 4th century, I can't remember who kind of pivoted the movement, but they started defining things in real carnal terms and just writing off the unseen. And now modern day theologians, you know, the modern day pastors and theologians and, you know, they treat it like it's all mysticism. Like it's like, like, bro, I said this before, half your Bible is ridiculous. Elijah's bones, like a dead man fell in Elisha's grave and he came back to life because he touched Elijah's bones.
He said the shadow went back 10 degrees.
We're not supposed to believe in it. Like none of that's actually like they didn't, you know, it's all hyperbole, you know, it's all, they're just exaggerating. But you can find countless things, you know, donkey talking or a bush, you know, the angel of the Lord speaking from a burning bush or whatever it was. Just go through your Bible and ask yourself how much is actually incredible, is unbelievable, before you treat this like mystical. But it really doesn't come down to, there's no consistency there. You'll believe plenty of unbelievable things, and then this one you'll say is unbelievable. Well, either you believe in the spiritual and the supernatural and the incredible, or you don't. You know, at least just be consistent. But that's not why you cherry pick this one or to be against this one, because all of our teachers for thousands of years have been taught to ignore it, flat out. I 100% agree with that. So then you want to deal with, you know, the gospel and spirits and principalities and powers, or you want to deal with the end times, and it's like your very foundation is flawed. You got cracks in the bricks. Like, let's go back, put the chief cornerstone back down, and build a foundation that we can build from. But your pastors, your theologians have all been convinced against it, but they're not spending any time devoted to learning or teaching this. That's not a problem. Of course it is. So that's what I would point out to anyone just to approaching the subject. Like, we've got a lot to talk about there, and here's why. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and it's really crazy because, like, all through the New Testament, it's like there's constant warnings about, look, you're up against some spiritual things. It ain't like just this natural, you know, it talks about spiritual things and how we need to be prepared for it and how to pray about it and all this other, like, you know, fast, some spirits takes fasting and praying to cast out, like all these things. It's all, we're not taught how to fight our enemy. It's like we're just blown in the wind right now, and it's wherever the enemy is blowing us, because we don't even know how to fight. Who goes to war and not knows their enemy? You're going to lose.
Who could teach you how to fight it if they don't even know the enemy?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, to your point, even someone that would take that upon themselves to say, I'm going to teach you spiritual warfare, I'm going to teach you how to pray, or I'm going to teach you how to cast out spirits. It's like, if you don't know this, I'm going to say, I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. You don't know the enemy, right? It's just, I'm not saying that's absolute, but it's just logical. It's like you have no idea what these spirits are. But you're going to teach someone how to pray against them or how to cast them out, or like, all right, maybe. But to your point, Ray, it doesn't seem right. It seems like you don't know the enemy. So how would you know? Like you anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you understood what I was saying. That was it. Yeah, it really was it.
Well, look,
and Hollywood makes it look like you just like crab walking backwards, and that's your encounter with a demon. That's your encounter with a spirit. Is Exorcism, Emily Rose, or whatever the movies are these demonic beings that's just like, you know, not even realizing sleep paralysis is a demonic attack. But you expecting, you know, to see something crawl on the wall or sitting on your bed, and not that those things don't happen, but they're way more cunning than that, you know. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm not against what you're saying. I just don't know that I don't know enough to agree or disagree. You know, but
well, I know just enough to validate. So I'm just kidding.
You know just enough to have a theory.
Kidding. Yeah.
So, not wrong with it. Look, yeah. I just reserve judgment for things that I'm not convinced of, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm not, yeah, you get what I'm saying. I didn't really say it, but you get it, you know. All I said was, yeah, no, no, but you get it. Yeah, it's time to wrap up. Once you're starting to talk incoherently. Man, I don't know why. Okay, hearing something. So before we wrap up, right, the direction, I would really like anyone that's watching now or anyone that watches later, you know, if you're watching, I'm gonna believe that you're open to praying for us. I'm gonna believe that you're here for a reason. But I know from, you know, personal things to even what we're, you know, trying to do here, definitely want prayer. Absolutely, definitely want prayer. Very happy to be doing this again. Very happy to make the time on here. I will actually give some more specifics again in the locals group, you know, not to, you know, keep pointing you there, but, you know, there's things we share here and there's things that, you know, I will share kind of behind closed doors, you know, with the community or the people there, for more specific things to pray for. But just general prayer for those that want to, definitely appreciated, and requested. Anything you guys have before we close, like, you know, in terms of that or anything else? Sorry. No?
No.
You're good?
I think I spoke too much this time. I'm surprised. I'm proud of myself.
So anyone in the comments, you know, Sheree went in on Unseen Realm, you know, but anyone in the comments that says, whoa, can you elaborate on that piece? Feel free to do that, because that will give us, you know, that could be a cue as far as where to pick up from. You know, let's kind of walk it back and talk about that. But we'll put our heads together and figure out what we'll do next week. We'll try to do this weekly again. Let us know if the time and day serves well for you. If not, what you recommend, but we thought it'd be good. So, I feel like there was something else, man. Our guest didn't show up, but maybe another week. We'll see. So if you want to be a guest, definitely hit us up. We got a couple people in mind that we're going to incorporate. Let me see. Daggone. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up then. No, I appreciate everyone that was here. And yeah, we'll let you know what we're gonna do, and we'll I guess see you next week. All right. Good night.